do you keep that customer? How do you make sure that that customer who you have actually remains your customer? Today, we are privileged to have Linda Were Bainda. Linda is a published author. Linda is a transformation coach with Coach Masters Academy. She's an entrepreneur. She's also a Rotarian and a Toastmaster. Toastmasters are the people where you go and you learn how to make amazing presentations. Linda is a microbiologist turned customer service. And now anyone out there who says, I just can't do customer experience, Linda is a microbiologist that's the qualification she has, but she has turned into a customer experience professional, and her career spans over 2 decades. Linda loves to garden, she loves reading, she likes traveling and meeting new people. Linda, you're going to meet a couple of new people in this session. And Linda, we are very, very excited to have you for this session. Linda is going to tell you a bit about her work. She has a number of spaces where she is, and I know that she works for one of the big corporates in the city, and she will tell us a bit about that as she goes ahead. But she's here to give us tips on how we can retain a customer. Linda, we are very excited to have you. Thank you so much for coming, and I'll hand over to you right now.
Thank you, Ronald, for an amazing and exciting introduction. And thank you, members, for tuning in. Good morning. I'm excited to be here this morning to share in my knowledge, plus discuss with you and learn more from you. We'll try and make it as interactive in the chat room as possible, so we all benefit from each other. Yes, I work in a telecom company, but as we all know, multiple streams of income are important. I have a book that I authored from which I earn some income. And I also make an indigenous wine from banana as well. And a few times I offer my experience and skills to people who need it to make their businesses better. Today, I am more than privileged and excited to talk about retention, client retention, because it's a space that we talk about in passing. We all know the old adage that the customer is king. But do we really have the actual strategies in place that depicts that the customer is king, or we mention it in passing? Ronald mentioned earlier that throughout the year, different people have been talking about how to grow our sales, how to do all that. Rarely do we come in and say, how do we then treat and try to retain that customer that we've gotten with us? It's a big debate. What is better, to keep getting more sales or to retain aggressively that we already have? And that's the discussion we are going to have and share today. I'm going to share my screen so we can have a seamless presentation. Sure, now we can all see the screen. What is retention? The dictionary defines it as the continued use or control of something. To retain something, you're in control of it. Now, when we add what is customer retention, in simple terms, it's the ability to keep customers over time, the customers acquired over time, the rate at which customers stay with a business over a given period of time. And if we're in business, it is good to know what is our customer retention rate, because then it helps us understand, are we keeping more than we're gaining? Are we losing more than what we're acquiring? Or what's the net effect? We have very many salespeople out there. How much of what they're bringing is staying with us? And today we'll discuss the different tools, retention tools, that we think can help us in retaining those clients. We'll also discuss why it is important to retain clients. Why bother? or we should just keep selling. And then we'll also talk about moments of truth, things that stay in our mind and subconsciously affect the customers, whether they'll come back to us, whether they'll stay with us, or whether they'll run and find another person who offers the same service or an alternate service. What we see here is a leaking bucket, which is what I'm talking about. You bring in, they go. It's even worse if we don't know where they go, if we are not keeping track of where they are going. And that's what we really, really need to divulge into today. If your retention is poor, then nothing else matters. We will burn out, the business will burn out, frustration. We may fire all the employees thinking they're the problem. But if the retention is poor, then nothing else matters. We need to ask ourselves the 5 whys for any business. Think about the business you're in and ask the first why, because then it helps us understand where the problem is. The first why are customers leaving? You may have a hypothesis. Are they leaving because your product quality is poor? Then goes to the second why. Why is the product quality poor? Is it the suppliers? Is it the process of making the product? And then the third why. Why is the process the way it is? Why does it take long? Why does the product defect after a few months? Then the fourth why. Why whichever sector you're in, ask yourself the 5 whys. You may write down, you will all have hypotheses in your business. Why aren't customers coming back? Where are they going? And then when you answer that, ask another why of that answer. Why are customers referring people to your business? Is it that your service sucks? Is it your prices? So if it is the prices, why are the prices high? They are high because of this, then why? If we can answer those whys, then we'll be able to start understanding what strategy, what retention strategy to employ. Sharing with you the strategies ahead or the retention tools available can only help if you try and answer the 5 whys. And if the 5 whys don't bring the answer, feel free to add as many whys to every hypothesis you have towards client retention. To just bring some numbers in before we get into the real matter of why this is important. The Ugandan economy, 80% runs on the MSMEs, the micro, small, and medium enterprises. They're the engine of growth for our entire economic development and all that. And if we are all doing well, if we are retaining customers well, of course, the bottom line is a lot better. You get more revenues if you're retaining more customers. The whole ecosystem is much more rich and robust, as opposed if the whole ecosystem is shaky because we are all running, fighting for customers, and then we don't even know how to make them happy or how to keep them with us. So I just wanted us to look at these statistics and if they can ring a bell in what we do, because 80%, even on this call, most of the business people on this call fall in this category: micro, small, and medium enterprises. 49% are in the service sector, and that's where customer experience retention really matters. Commerce and trade, you're not exempt. You too have customers, and if you retain them, then it impacts the rest of the sectors as well. 10% are in manufacturing, quality, and 8% are the others. Now, if 80% of employment is in this sector, whereby 42% are self-employed, even on this call, 94% of MSMEs are individually owned. Now we want to look at, as an individual owning a business or a small family business with 5 people and the like, do we sit and think about customer retention, or we are simply thinking about more sales, bottom line, without wondering, why aren't my customers coming back? How can I get them to purchase more often and keep coming back and coming back? And perhaps that could be the reason most businesses do not survive. There could be other reasons: tax, lack of planning, lack of financial discipline. But above all, if you can't retain the clients, then your revenues are going to struggle. And then the cycle continues. Before you know it, you're out of business. So now that we know the statistics, 80% are in this sector. And this does not exempt the large corporates, because we've seen large corporates go out of business. Not necessarily due to lack of retention, client retention, but if your revenues are good, chances are you'll hang in there, regardless of whether you're large or small. So let's share some facts. One of the most sustainable ways to improve your customer acquisition, the cost, is through customer retention. We know that it costs 5 times more to acquire a customer than to retain an existing customer. Look at all that money being spent in adverts, on radio, on billboards, on hiring salespeople, on thinking up all kinds of strategies to acquire the customer, whereas retaining a customer costs much less. The customers we have are the most profitable, and I'll show you why. All studies and schools of thought and surveys point to the fact that the difference between companies that really grow and those that don't is customer retention. Their buckets have less holes where the water is seeping out. The more customers you can keep and continue to sell to, the more likely you are to achieve your business goals. Once this sinks in, then we'll be able to discuss openly about what we can do for repeat customers, what we can do to ensure customers come back to us, what we can ensure to do that customers do not leave or do not, choose other people over us. We know for a fact that increasing retention by 5% can increase your profits by up to 95%, just by increasing your retention, not only sales. Because the success rate of selling to an existing customer is 60 to 70% higher than a totally new customer, where the conversion rate is 20%. And you can try it out. If you've done business with somebody, the chances of you doing business again with that person is a lot higher than a new person. If they're offering you an extra product, it's a lot easier to get from somebody you've done business with or you've purchased from before than a totally new person, because there is no trust with the new person. You do not know their value proposition. You do not trust it, unlike an existing person. So when you look at those numbers, conversion rate of an existing customer being 60 to 70%, and the conversion rate of a new customer being at 20%, you're going to spend more money, mathematically more money, more effort to get so many people to get you that 20%, as opposed to very few people to get you the 70% from the existing customer base. Okay, so let's see what repeat customers can do for us, because that's where most of the money is. Repeat customers and why they're important. Repeat customers are more likely to shop again and again because they are comfortable with you, they are happy with your value proposition, they trust you. And once we've gone through all this, I then will share the different retention tools we can use to ensure we get more repeat customers, more clients staying with us. And then I'll also share the different things we can leverage as businesses to ensure that we keep the customers in, we seal all the leaking areas in our buckets. instead of continuously, aggressively selling, which is not a bad thing. But most importantly, ensure the bucket is not leaking as much. It is easier to sell to a repeat customer because now you know what they want. You're comfortable with them. It is harder to sell to a new customer. You spend a lot of time and money for them to buy into what you're offering. It's harder to snatch them away from your competition to you. So you're spending a lot more money as opposed to a repeat customer where you're spending much less and they are referring more customers to you. We'll see the statistics of referrals and what referrals can do for your business based on the repeat customers that we have. Studies show and research has shown that repeat customers spend more on each purchase. Do not belittle or negate the power of trust. The more I do business with you, the more I purchase from you, the trust grows, the loyalty grows. And so I can trust you with more money. I am comfortable to spend more money on even more expensive items with you. Repeat customers spend 33% more than new customers. And you can test this in your business. If you've not been tracking it, please start tracking your regular customers, how they spend. Their spend simply goes up. If it starts to dwindle, then that's a message. The bucket is starting to leak, and then you need to pinpoint where the issue is. Because you'd rather have 10 customers spending 33% more than 30 customers, they come and spend and they don't come back. And then you spend more money to bring more in. And then another fact is repeat customers share more about your store, your product, or your service than new customers. If I have a friend or family, I will not recommend something I've used once unless it absolutely knocks me off my feet. But with repeat customers, someone is very confident to share, I've used this product or this service 4 times and I love it. It has been able to solve this for me. And then you're transferring your level of trust to another person. Remember, referrals are more powerful because they are based on trust of somebody you know, over and above a radio advert, a flyer on WhatsApp, or a sponsored post on Instagram or Facebook, or a billboard, which is impersonal, and you've blown so much money, as opposed to your relative or your best friend saying, you know what, why don't you go to Grace's store? This is what they can do. You will be more believable because of the element of trust, the human trust. And that's how some of these powerful organizations have been able to grow. I keep asking people, WhatsApp did not advertise for us to get onto WhatsApp. You simply told your friend, have you heard about WhatsApp? You can do this, you can form groups, you can share this. Or you don't know about Instagram, it does this, it does that. And then ourselves, we made those super entrepreneurs richer by word of mouth. They didn't have to advertise, they didn't have to do anything because we found their services easy and amazing to use. And we told so many people around the world about it and made Mark Zuckerberg the richest man in the world. You too can do this for your business by just focusing on your repeat customers to come back, and with time they become fans whereby they'll bring other people with them to show them and tell them about your service or product without harassing people in their WhatsApp groups to keep purchasing from you when even what they're purchasing is not good and they're not coming back. Fact of the matter is referrals, the conversion rate is higher because of the element of trust. If someone tells me Ronald Mukasa does the most amazing cakes, and then I see another billboard of cakes at a roundabout, who am I going to believe? The person who has told me about Ronald, because I know them. I can go back to them if they've jinxed me. So we need to make our products and services so good that the users will bring their friends with them. It makes the conversion a lot higher and easier. And organizations that have learned the power of referrals have started using this in their business models. Refer a customer to us, and we will do this for you. I've seen banks in Uganda do that. Refer a customer to open an account with us, and we will waive these fees. Refer a customer to us, and you'll get a free burger because of the power of a referral system. You can use it in your business model, keeping in mind that someone will only refer if they absolutely trust your service and product. And that way the retention, the bucket is sealed. Referrals also ensure that you have a higher lifetime value of clients. The loyalty is built through a referral system, and it's a very low investment, compared to the amount of money you're going to put in to bring researchers, to bring marketing gurus, to whatever, to hire 100 sales force in every region, every town, as opposed to customers themselves referring you to their business. And we know some of those businesses in Uganda where someone tells you, do not drink that, just drink this. The CEO of that company is not there, but the customer is getting you another customer, and you're not paying them. You're just reaping from that. So we've got to do what we do so well from a strategic level and an intentional level that customers will want to see it again and bring their friends. Very important that way. Okay, so what are some of the retention tools we can use in our businesses? Perhaps these may not work for all businesses, although I believe they do, for all services and products. These are tools that can be embedded in your strategic plan. If we don't have this, I know there's a skew towards strategy sessions being more on revenue. How many stores can I put my product? How many? But then we need to have retention tools in place. For example, do you have a value proposition written? What is it you stand for? Your service or your product? What is the value proposition? Will it be the tastiest cake? Will it be the most seamless event with zero glitches? Let me see what service providers we have here to give relevant. Land surveys, title transfer, seamless, 24-hour turnaround time, 48-hour. The most disciplined students in a school. What's the value proposition? And do your target customers know about it? It has to be written and clear for you and then for the customers. Customers believe when you have a written value proposition, you're putting yourself out there. So they will come to you because they know and they can hold you accountable to the value proposition. And it allows you to raise the bar because everyone now knows that's what you stand for. If you default, it will be egg on your face. So one of the retention tools is have a clear value proposition, a written promise for yourself and for the customer. The other tool, budget for complaints. The same way you budget for sales, for additional products, for marketing, budget for complaints. And we're not saying you're building a product expecting complaints, but we know that things go wrong. However good you are, things go wrong. What happens when things go wrong? Have you planned that perhaps you'll refund some customers? Have you planned that you have someone 24/7 or 2 hours a day responding to complaints or going to meet these customers or going back to the factory to correct a problem? That budget has to be there. And then, of course, if you notice that the budget is getting bigger, it speaks to you there's a problem if many of your customers are complaining about your product or service. But if you budget for it, you'll be more focused on ensuring that the complaints come down. That's a retention tool. The 3 R's: repair, replace, refund. And I've seen some organizations, if we don't do this, we will refund you. If you don't do this, bring back and replace. We've also seen others, goods sold cannot be returned. I mean, really. Paul, mute yourself. Goods once sold cannot be returned. But we know that you've not looked at all your stock the client may need to return. Of course, if I come back and you chase me away, I will tell people don't visit that store. So the 3 R's: repair, replace, refund. It's a retention tool depending on the service industry you're in. Have follow-up mechanisms. I once visited a dentist with one of my children, and they had a root canal. I was so shocked. The next day they called me and they asked about her with the name. How was her night? Was it better? Any complaints? I was touched. The mother, myself, had not even bothered to check. How was the night? You did a root canal, everything is okay. They followed up. 6 months later, they said, come for a free checkup for your teeth. They used the information we fill in when we enter those medical centers wisely, instead of it just being paperwork, a formality. Have follow-up mechanisms. If someone has asked many questions, they are buying a TV set or whatever gadget, call them up. Did it work well? Do you need someone to come and show you the how to? Have follow-up mechanisms. If you're a tax consultant, you consulted for me a year ago. How am I doing right now? You have my details. Have you checked on me? Am I struggling? We know that the tax issues keep changing in the country. Have you followed up with your past clients? Not expecting payment, but to ensure that whatever service you give them is still applicable and they are happy. Have follow-up mechanisms in place. Could be email, could be phone call. Of course, SMSs, yeah, but they're impersonal. It could be like ticker box. But what follow-up mechanisms are in place for your customers? And you can categorize your clients and say, these will have a call follow-up. These will have email. These, the MD himself will visit. These will have a workshop and they'll share. Whatever it is you want to do. That's a retention tool for your business. Then make it easy to be reached. How do I reach you? We've checked Google, we don't know where to find you. There's a name of a street we've never heard of. The street has been renamed. We don't know how to get to you. The phone number is no longer in service. The website is obsolete. How do we reach you? We can't even give you additional business because you've made it so hard. We have to jump over streams to get to your offices. We have no parking. That's a retention tool. Customers, clients want easy life, less hustle, because everyone is hustling in this life. Everyone has challenges. Make it easy. Don't be the extra burden for the customer. Make it so easy. It doesn't have to take a lot of time for someone to reach you or to reach your people. And never explain yourself. Simply find solutions. We know that things go wrong in life or in businesses. Perhaps the food was bad in the restaurant. Perhaps the cake had a little extra sugar. Perhaps anything. Find solutions. No one wants your excuses. You see, because the government of Uganda now, no, find solutions for your clients. And if you can't find the solutions, repair, replace, refund. Okay? And then follow up. It all ties in together. And train your staff never to say, that is the policy. Of course, the customer knows it's the policy, but they want a solution, unless it's a last resort. But there are always workarounds. There are ways you can engage this customer without saying that's policy. That is a very frustrating thing to say to a customer. They'll go to a place where there are no policies, and then empower staff to make decisions. Many of us, as you've seen the statistics, many of the businesses are individually owned or family owned, small businesses really. And the manager, the CEO is the accountant, is the marketeer, is the complaints manager. He's everything minus the one selling, writing the receipt. And if something goes wrong where this CEO, manager, accountant, marketeer, the 10-in-1 person has gone to the bank or has a funeral and something goes wrong or a decision needs to be made, a customer maybe wants 3 items instead of 1, they cannot simply make a decision because you've not put anything in place. Empower staff to make decisions. Will some decisions be wrong? Perhaps. But most times, they will be the right decisions. And you'll have happy staff who can do things. Perhaps you only deliver if someone buys 5 items, but this person has bought 3 items but lives far off. Can you take a call? Is your staff allowed to take a call to make a delivery based on how they've engaged with the clients? Empower staff to make decisions, and unless the decisions they've made are irreparable, or you are going to make the same, but something just simply went wrong, and then you've got to fire them. That's your call to take. But empower staff to make decisions. Otherwise, if staff can't make decisions, I'm going to show you a video of what happens when staff are simply working robotic, because you told them every customer who comes, you have to give a receipt. You can only do this for this customer. And unless someone is ordering something of this amount, do not take the deal. We've got to give room for customers to make decisions. And finally, always under promise and over deliver. You have your value proposition. Perhaps it says in 48 hours, in 2 days. Can you do it in 1 day? Give yourself room to wow the customer. As they're waiting for 48 hours, you do it in 24 hours. As they're waiting for the delivery to come at this time, you're doing something else. Always under promise and over deliver, regardless of what business you're in. It is possible to under promise, but over deliver, to ensure you always have the wow factor, the +1. The wow factor ensures that I'll tell people when I'm having tea with my friends in the evening, because it was wow, I will talk about it. Like I talked about the dentist. Like I keep sharing about the gentleman who does my nails, because he's simply wow. He does stuff and I'm blown away for such a small business that he does. And I have to drive all the way from Entebbe Road to Nakawa to get my nails done. Or they'd rather not get done. Something like that. Under promise and over deliver. So you don't have to do the big things. It's the small things done consistently, done so well, that will bring customers back. And if you ask me right now, I will gladly give you his number, or the dentist's number, or my baker's number, because I know they will not let me down. What's that doing for them? They are not advertising, flyers, WhatsApp. I'm just simply bringing more customers who will bring more customers who will stay with them. Okay? And then you can create success storyboards. It's a retention tool. People want to hear good things of what's going on. Create success storyboards. There are customers who are absolutely happy. Ask them if you can put them on the success board, if they can share, because it's believable. And they will do it for free because they're already happy. That's their reward. They are happy. You don't have to pay them. You don't have to pay a brand ambassador to pose. You're looking for all the pretty boys and girls, you know, to be on billboards. Just create believable, genuine success stories, because they're sustainable and they're replicable and they're believable. instead of a wish, which is just on your advert or a flyer, but you have a truth being shared out there. These are some retention tools you can use, but I'll go in detail on only 2. The rest, you can always dig deep in your strategy sessions, in your different companies, on how you can make them work. I will share mainly about the complaints and the empowering staff to make decisions, okay? I want us to watch this video and share in the chat what you think about this video. This is a staff member working at a gardening farm. What are your thoughts about this gentleman? He sure is dedicated, doing his job, even in the rain. What are your thoughts about this gentleman working at this enterprise? He's a staff member in your business that you've put a lot of money in. I'm going to check the chats and see a robot. He's wasting time irrigating in the rain. He seems to be programmed like a robot, not empowered to think critically, operating on auto. Exactly. Because he wants his job, and you told him, that day I find when you've not watered these plants, you will go. And the poor guy, he wants that job. He has a family to feed. So he's like, my friend, let me even take a video when I'm watering in the rain. You know? Because you've told this guy, never, ever you will go. This business, you know how hard it is in Uganda to start a business. And this is how some of our staff in our small businesses, perhaps even big businesses, work. They are robotic. They are simply doing things because we've not allowed them room to think. He could have used this time of watering to call up previous clients. Oh, it's raining. Ensure that plant X I gave you doesn't do well in too much rain. Can you perhaps move it under the tree or the veranda because it will die? Or how is this working? Did you remember to spray the plants or prune them? He can use that time to do something different, to engage existing clients or old clients. You know, he is wasting time. And we all know that time is the world's most valuable resource. So at times we have people who are simply wasting time because we've not allowed them, we've not given them empowerment. And it can be documented within limits, not carte blanche, but within limits. That is a retention tool. Otherwise, you have this wasting your water because I'm sure he's gotten this water from a tap. So you've got to pay the bill. It has rained. He's wasting time. He's just useless. But then this also happens to most of us in whatever business you're running. So let's think about that. And I have these critical questions that you can write down and ask yourself about the staff running this vision of yours. Are they part of the strategy as we try to retain clients? Do they know what's going on? And I picked this from a book by a gentleman, Richard Sebagala. The book is called A Fish Works from the Head, because you're the head of the business, whatever business you're running, or you're a manager, whatever it is, you're the head of the section. A fish works from the head. It's from up, it's not down. There's a problem with the top if, you have somebody doing something like that. What are you in business for? What is your legacy? Do your staff, or do you know your mission or vision? Or you simply started a business, you don't even have a mission, you don't have a vision, and that's why the bucket is leaking. Because If you don't know where you're going, you'll definitely go anywhere. So you need to know where you're going, and then your staff needs to know where you're going. What does customer service mean to you? Is it just a term that the customer is king, or you actually intentionally are doing things or putting things in place that depict that customer service is important? If we've all agreed as seen that retention is way cheaper than acquisition, and the profits, if you retain, can go up to 95%. Just a 5% increase in retention can grow your profit margin by 25 to 95%. We all know that. And we know that repeat customers purchase more by 33%. And repeat customers only come if they're happy, if they are beyond satisfied. And we know that they will refer other people. So the conversion rate of a referred customer is higher. And it is a lot better, and the customers have a higher lifetime value because they've been referred and there's a trust element. So what does customer service mean to you? What type of customers do we want? Are we simply in business? What's your target market? Age? Do you want the youth? Do you want the young ones? What gender? Education? There are some businesses you're in, and perhaps your target market should be a particular gender that you're simply sending on a WhatsApp group of a mixed school, whatever you want. What type of customers do you want? Are you using a targeted approach? What education level? Is it mass market? What class? You can't be for all. You cannot be, your product is for everybody. What sort of service will bring out the best in us, in the eyes of our target group? Us is the company that you're working for or that you're running. What sort of service? So you have a business that's downtown any district in the country, and you hire somebody who does not speak the native language. What kind of service will bring out the best? You will simply just antagonize people. What image do you want to project to your clients? And it started with the video of that gentleman watering in the rain. If you answer this for yourself, then you will know what kind of people you need to run this in your organization, or what you need to transform in yourself for this to speak to you from a service element. Because from service, then you will be able to sell to somebody if they are happy. What employee is best suited to project the image you want? What employee is best suited to serve the customers you want? You run a children's play center, that you have a bouncer with big muscles at the gate. What type of employee is best suited to your image, to the service, to the product you're offering? Otherwise, we end up with the guy watering in the rain. And the problem may not be the guy. The problem is us, the business owners or the managers. What employee is best suited? It starts with number one. Why are you in business? What are you in business for? What is your legacy? What is your mission? What is your vision? And does everybody around you understand that? If they do, then you're on the road to success in your business, in ensuring you're delivering the very best for your customers, who will tell other people about what you are doing. Okay. So the second one, I talked about client staff empowerment, but then there's also the complaint management. Those two, the others are also big tools for time management, because we have a lot to discuss. I'll just share those two. The rest, you may go back and think about your business. How can you use the different retention tools to improve your client retention? The way complaints are managed will determine if a customer comes back. It doesn't mean that when there's a complaint, the customer won't come back. They will come back. But how did you manage the complaint? You received the complaint. It's just a cycle. You apologize, you resolve quickly, check again that it's fully resolved, refund if you have to, repair if you have to, thank the customer, follow up to ensure there is no reoccurrence. It's just a cycle. You sold cement, you delivered 100 bags. Did all the bags arrive intact? Did one bag split open and waste the cement? What do you do? Maybe the handlers did it badly and the client lost. What can you do for the client? Can you reach a middle ground? There is always a way to resolve a complaint so that it is win-win. But it's also more important to acknowledge when you fail, resolve quickly, and keep checking on this customer because they've done you a favor by telling you where you've gone wrong. That means they like you. And you're going to use that one complaint to improve your product or your service, whichever way you look at it. So be very happy that you've received the complaint anyway, that they've told you about it. And if you resolve it well, they will tell other people how you resolved their complaint, and then other people will come. And then you'll have a happy customer, and then the cycle goes, you seal the bucket, and your revenues, bottom line, is a lot better just through client retention. And here are some ways that really make customers run away. What turns them away? There are so many. You can post others in the chat. People can learn from you, from your different businesses, things that turn customers away. These are just a few to get the conversation going. Making customers wait unnecessarily. Yes, you're busy. Perhaps you're not a medical doctor that you are delayed in surgery. You know, not that it's acceptable, but we can make excuses for those ones. You're making customers wait unnecessarily. You have an email system that you respond to once in a week because you do not have a value proposition. You have inconsistencies in price. The price in Gulu is different from the price in Mbarara or even in Kampala, different areas, and you cannot comfortably, rationally explain it to customers. Your quality is inconsistent. Digital channels are obsolete, or they're speaking a lot of techie language. They're not speaking to the customer. And who said all digital channels have got to be in a foreign language? Perhaps most of your customers understand the local language better. Product fails over and over again. Missed appointments with your clients. And most times the customers will not even tell you anything, especially if they are Ugandans. They will just go and not come back because they don't like confrontation. Bad experience at your premises or at your touch points, rude staff, dead plants. If you can't look after a plant, you cannot look after the customer, really. A plant is all dry with yellow leaves and it's at the reception. It's in the compound. It speaks of really, really staff members who don't care. Ambience, loud music. We enter the store, we can hardly hear. There's a supermarket I used to go to, I no longer go because the music is so loud. The tellers are singing along to the music as they are clocking around the items. I just don't bother anymore. It's a bad experience after a long, hard day. And there's loud music, there's rude stuff, everything is in a mess, not worth it. They don't have payment options, all payment options available, they only have one. It's generally a bad experience. Selling to customers constantly, every time your phone call comes, you're selling them, oh, now we have a new product. Oh, did you know, now we've opened a branch here. Oh, every post you're putting on Instagram and Facebook or your website is about buy. You're not telling them tips or benefits or whatever it is. You're not even wishing them a happy Independence Day. You're simply selling daily. It turns customers away. It puts them off. They feel like they're being used. Once in a while, you could engage your clients in games, in quizzes, in riddles, anything, just to connect with them, not simply pushing your agenda of selling. Also, what turns customers away is simply delivering only what you promise. That is good, that's average, that is expected. But can you deliver more than what you promised to create the wow experience? Deliver more than what you promised. And then complaint management, that each company deals with separately, but have a complaint management process in place. All right, we've gone through that. And as we wind up, I just want to share with you, what are the moments of truth? What are our moments of truth? Anytime the customer encounters any aspect of your company or business service, however remotely, they have an opportunity to form an impression. They have an opportunity to form an impression. And that's the first impression. And subconsciously, it stays in their mind. It is you to change what they think about you. So we have two moments of truth. It could be dull moments of truth or the shining moments of truth. I will start with the dull moments of truth as we wind up and get into a Q&A or a discussion. But we need to avoid these dull moments of truth. And in the chat room, depending on your business you're in, you can share what other dull moments of truth are there. Things that just show you don't care about the customer, about your business, things that speak negatively about your business. You put an unfriendly face at the reception. Maybe they are friendly, but their natural demeanor is not friendly. That's not the person to put at the reception. Hidden contacts. We struggle to find your contacts, even on the website. We have to scroll 10 pages. Delayed response. We call and the phone is picked after 10 rings. Ideally, a phone should be picked after 3 rings, max. Cashiers who never have change. They walk away, come back 10 minutes, then they have to ask the customer, do you have 2,000? Do you have 1,000? Can you take a sweet instead of me giving you 200 shillings? Those are dull moments of truth. It's not giving a smooth service. Can't find your way. Remember, we talked about you have premises that are hard to find. We have to jump through swamps and rivers and go through backyards before we can find your office. Can't find your way, can't navigate. Dying flowers or plants at the reception or in the parking. Those are dull moments. They don't delight. Someone would like to have a wait in your lobby when the place is beautiful. Obsolete digital channels. And these days you can do so much digitally. Even if you're unavailable, you can inform your customers you're unavailable at this time, you'll be available at this time, and stuff like that. It's not mandatory to be available 24/7, but if the customers know when they can reach you, it is important. And move with the times, move with the times. 70% of our generation in Uganda is under 18 years. And the rest of us are in the 30%. Who is your target market in 5 or 10 years? Are you reaching them now? I could be your target market now, but perhaps I'm going to retire in 5 or 10 years. Are you reaching the people below? Are you communicating on the streams of media that they are communicating? Or you're still stuck on the same old for the old timers? What happens in 5 years? You will get out of business because you fail to tap into the new ways of doing things. We can run, we can hide, we cannot run away from the fact that digital has taken over. So we've got to move with the times. We've got to be updated. What is happening to the people turning 25 who are going to be purchasing your product or service? Do they know you? So we need to think about that. Some of the shining moments of truth, and you can also share when you post in the chat, let's know whether it's a shining moment or a dull moment of truth. A smile, immediate attention, parking space. I love parking space. I do love parking. I don't like looking for parking at all. There could be other people in my category, but I dread looking for parking space. I will go to a place that has parking. You invite me for a meeting, the first question I'll ask is there parking? Because I don't want to hustle. The world is hard enough. Perhaps your customers are like me. Knowledgeable staff, and that means we have to keep training people who are trainable, coachable, who hunger for knowledge, because then they are going to transfer that to your customers. The use of your name. I love the sound of my name. I'm sure Ronald loves the sound of his name. So we've got to use the names of our customers, have accessible contact information, great ambience, and value adds. You can keep sharing the moments of truth. We'll see them. We're running out of time. And then just quickly take you through, I promised, the different leverages you can use for your business, knowing your customers in detail. Do you know their names, or they're just a number? Someone who walked in, purchased, and went away. Do you know their face, their goals, their dreams? What are they doing? Especially businesses where you take clients' information. What do you use it for? I go to this restaurant and they ask me to fill in a survey form, but they ask for my name and date of birth. I never thought about it until the next year on my birthday. They sent me a message to come for a free cup of tea because it was my birthday. And I was touched. So what are we using the information for? And I'll recommend that place to so many other people. And they keep asking, why do you go there? But they had an impact on me. Building systems. How do you handle requests? Who's handling requests? Is it the same manager? Who's the accountant? Who's the marketer? Who's the one in charge of transport, because nobody can be trusted? Do we respond on time? Do we have records that Linda purchased this? Linda comes to this restaurant and always orders for black tea spiced. But every time I come 2 years down the road, you still ask me what tea do I want? Instead of telling me the usual, that means now you know me. And then standards. What standards have you put in place? Are they replicated across? Timeliness, convenience, the promises, the flexibility. Have standards. Have standards. And what employees do you have? We've seen that. Skills development, delegation, retention. Customers are happy to see the same faces serving them, because then they show that the trust is built. Then they don't have to repeat themselves over and over. You know, I always order X number of cartons of your service, or I always bring this set of books for looking at. And so it is important that you try as much as possible retaining your customers. You try and retain your good staff. Whatever it is, you try and retain them, because the customers also want consistency. And you can do that by rewarding loyalty, either to your customers or your employees, but to your customers. How do you reward loyalty? I'll leave that to you. You can do whatever you want. Also ensure you leverage things like accurate and fair pricing, not so much to make a killing in one purchase from one customer. Try and forecast your business. Take time, no stock outs. You know what your customers want. If I come today and you don't have, I'll go somewhere else. And if I go to that other place and they give me a wow service, I will not come back. They will lock me in there and your bucket will be leaking here. So ensure you don't have stock outs, customer needs. Have campaigns, offers. What are we looking forward to? We know that every November, for example, this company has what they call a Black Friday. Or we know every February, company X gives back this way. Have a calendar, a system that speaks to your customers. They will look forward to it. Let customers know that on your birthday of your company, they expect this. So you have a calendar of events and your customers know. It will lock them in. It will be exciting. It won't be routine for them, however big or small your company is. We talked about the +1 experience, leverage it. What's the wow factor you can give your customers to close the leaking bucket? Customers love surprises, and I can give so many that have happened to me that I'm sure delight other people as well. Plus being dependable. And finally, a recap. Remember the customers' names. Keep your promises. Use the magic words that we learned while we're in elementary school. Support your client's business. If I'm one of your top 5 or top 10 customers, basic things, have you liked my social media pages? Support your client's business and let them see that you've supported them. This world is about give and take. Give back to the community and let your customers see that you've given back. Then they will come and spend some more because they know you're going to give back to the community. Ask for feedback, even though it may hurt that your product or service wasn't as good, because this then will allow you to improve. And the customer will know that you're sincere, you're transparent, you want to grow. Remember your customers' preferences. Don't ask the same thing over and over again unless you've changed your product. Or you could say, is it okay if I took you through what we have, then you make your choice, or should I give you the usual? Then the customer knows that they're simply not a number, but you know them personally, even though you may have 1 million customers. Remember their preferences and take personal interest. If we can do this, these are simple things, but we have to be intentional about doing them. Having satisfied customers isn't good enough anymore. If you really want a booming business, you must create raving fans. Create fans who will speak for you when you're not there, when your PR person is not there, when your marketing person is not there, your fans will speak for you. There are instances where a certain customer went negative on digital about an enterprise he visited. You will not believe what the fans did to that poor gentleman or lady. I think it was a lady. The fans came, they didn't need a PR. All the fans came out and said, you're wrong. These people are like this, they are like this, and they gave examples. Can your customers say that about you? Can they be raving fans about your product or service? Let's just focus on client retention, client delight, go beyond client satisfaction, and create raving fans and stop the leaking bucket. So what are we going to do to stop this bucket from leaking? There are some things you're going to start to do. There are some things you're already doing, otherwise you'd not be in business, so you can't continue doing those. And there are things that we need to stop doing and change so that we can seal the leaking bucket. And thank you for listening to me and for participating in the chat room. I would like to hand back to Ronald now.
Wow. Thanks a lot, Lydia. Very, very exciting expose of this topic. I was taking so many notes. There are some dead plants I'm going to remove. I felt attacked. My dead plant was right there. And I noticed that it doesn't look very good for my customer. So thank you so much for sharing with us really what you would very basic tips of how we can be able to retain our customer. There is a lot of feedback in the chat box during your presentation. People are appreciating I see Rosemary saying thank you. Wow, from Albert. We can just send a shout out to Lydia for the presentation. We are very, very grateful for the very many messages which came out. I think for me, what stood out is the fact that what needs to be done is not very complex, but the truth is that it's also not being done. Simple things like knowing the name of your customer, simple things like just creating parking space for the customer who is coming and not parking the parking being full of the employees' cars and the customer has nowhere to park. Simple things like immediate attention, a smile. They are really, really things which you would say are quite simple, but the truth is that we don't receive them when we go out to the businesses we meet. And I believe all the business owners on the call could quickly relate that this is something which has been missing in my business. We have just a few minutes. We have about just over 15 minutes. I will allow a couple of questions. If you want to have ask Lydia a question, make a comment on this submission. As usual, simply put up your hand and I'll be able to give you a chance to do that. And Lydia may have a few minutes to respond to those comments. A lot of things are coming through. Yes, we are going to share this recording surely, and I believe we could also be able to share the notes which Lydia has shared. We will send you a PDF with the same a little later, so that should be done. The organizing team will be able to do that. I see a hand from Abdallah. Abdallah, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. I just have a small one. I wanted to know how really to manage the repetitive customers who always want things on credit. My customers have always come, but there is so much like things on credit and they take long to pay. Thank you.
Okay, Ronald, am I answering one question or we take all that?
I think let's take a couple and then you will answer.
Okay.
Thank you, Abdallah. Albert, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Ronald, and thanks so much, Linda, for that great presentation. I just wanted to know if you've offered a very good service and probably your space or where you're operating from is quite small and you can't accommodate a very large number, but because of your wow service, your great service, you've actually attracted a lot more than you can handle. What do you do in that case? You know, and not really bring down the kind of experience that you give to the people, but at the same time, be able to handle what you can manage. Is it a wise thing to take the price a little up? What do you do to manage the scale? Thank you.
Thank you, Albert, for that question. I don't know if there is another just before I invite Linda. Linda, we could take those two and possibly take another round.
Okay. Thank you. There was Abdallah who asked about customers who want things on credit and small, Albert who talked about a small place, but now it's booming. That's massive. Congratulations to you. You're doing a good job. Okay, so Abdallah, customers who are repeat but want things on credit. Do these customers really want you to succeed? Are they bulk buyers that you can consider having a formal credit policy in place? Because we know that at times, depending on how they are purchasing, you may need their service, but then you may have to formalize it. Because if you don't formalize it, then how will you collect your money to keep running the business? And what I know what some businesses do, if you're taking on credit, then the price will be slightly higher to manage that lead time, because then you're getting money from elsewhere to fill this space because the customer hasn't paid. But then also strictly keeping this to the repeat clients. And how long do they take to pay? You have to be specific. At times it is good. And it's also important to know, what do they do? It goes back to, do you know your customer? What business are they in, or who are they? Is this a single mother, a single father purchasing from you? Is this a startup company purchasing from you? Because I don't know what kind of business you're in. Knowing your customer helps you assess whether you can extend credit to them or not. You cannot simply extend credit to anybody. So knowing your customer is important. Do you know where they stay? Do you know where their office location is? Who are their customers? Are their customers also delaying to pay them? Is that the reason they're taking long to pay? So once you understand that, then it helps you answer this question. Can I give them on credit? Then can I formalize the process? Instead of processing, these people are just repeat customers, repeat customers. Why are they repeat customers? Why? Remember the 5 whys when we're starting. Why do they want services on credit? Why? Then you answer up to the 5th why. Get to know them a bit better. Then you'll be comfortable in offering credit within a limit that your business can handle. I don't overly recommend credit. However, if it is well documented, well managed, and you know the customer to whom you're giving credit, then it is good. When you know your customer very well. I could come in a posh car, but actually you don't know me. You'll offer me credit and I'll disappear. I'll never come back. So it is important that you do that assessment yourself and decide. Albert, small place, it has grown, and I think you don't have parking, either no parking or maybe where your customers can sit. It is small. What do you do? Depending on the business you're in, have you considered going online? Because it's the new way of doing things. Also, the cost of renting a huge space depends on what your profit margins are. Could eat into the little profits you're making. Have you considered going online? Considered a delivery for those you know, because you know they are repetitive, and telling them we now offer a delivery service. You can order online and we will deliver. That way you reduce on the customers coming to you. You're offering a wow service. You will deliver and put a small markup. Depends on how you want to do it. Or if your profits are very big and in your forecast you can afford to expand, then you can go that route. So really the ball is in your court. Yes, Ronald,
Great.
I'll take some more.
All right. Thanks a lot. I will have one more round. Please do put up your hand. Let me just check the chat box whether we have some questions that are coming through. If you have a question or a comment, please go ahead and come through. Antonia is asking, how do you advise to get, how do you advise, what advice do you give towards parting ways with a customer who refuses to honor their terms? I think you can respond to that question. That one was from Antonia. So time reaches when you have to part ways with a customer.
Exactly.
How do you advise that process of saying, you know what, we are breaking up and this is it? Yeah.
I mentioned,
Linda says,
is there another question?
yeah, I want to see if I can capture one or two here. And then Linda asks, the KYC hit on my side of the business. Yes, I think she was just acknowledging the point you made. I'll just allow Ivan to ask a question, then you'll answer both. Ivan, please go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Ivan, I think you got muted again. Do you want to unmute again, Ivan? Good.
I'm on. Yeah.
Super.
Yeah, thank you so much, Linda. I would like to have a concern about clients that you have a partnership with, and they are taking an amount of product, and then it comes of drops, and then they are reducing the amount of produce they are taking, and that literally also impacts on the production, because okay, we are into agriculture, and we have given amount of production we have on a weekly basis, and then we have clients that is saying, oh no, this week I'm not taking more than whatever we usually. Okay, he's reducing on his demand for a weekly basis. So how do you handle, or how do you go? Do you have to go in for more, or more clients, or you have to maintain his order still and then look for more? I just want an advice on that and how properly a person could go through that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan. I think I'll ask also James's question. James asks, increasing price normally drives away customers. What can I do to retain them? Great. I think I'll put those to you, Linda, and then we can bring this to a close.
Okay, thank you. Someone said, how do you part ways? The answer was in the question. If someone is not meeting their terms that you agreed to, you definitely have to part ways. We mentioned somewhere leveraging your business is about setting standards, because this customer will be the same one telling other people, you can go to that, you can't even run away without paying. May I take 6 months without paying or without that? So I advise that you part ways formally and let the person know why you're parting ways. And then there has to be a remedial process or action on how you're going to get back what is due to you formally, cordially, professionally. But there is no point in hanging on to a customer who's not meeting their end of the bargain. It's a drag and it will bring your business down. You can get more customers who will be more loyal, who will support your business. So definitely parting ways is the way to go. Do it professionally in a good way. And that's why I told, I think it was Abdallah, on credit, it has to be documented. It can't, you're in business. This is not a husband-wife relationship. I've given you my 100,000, give it back to me. So you have to document the terms and conditions, meaning you can easily get redress if the situation goes south. But definitely you part ways. The other party has to know why you parted ways, why you can't continue with them unless the situation changes. Do not hang on because we've said retain customers. You have to retain a paying customer. You're retaining a customer who's bringing value to your business. There's no point in retaining a customer who's not bringing value to your business, who's simply taking away. So the answer is actually in your question, part ways. Just follow a professional approach, well documented and redress. Then someone said client partnership. I don't know if the partnership there was an agreement that they'll purchase a certain amount consistently, and now they are purchasing less. Is that what Ivan mentioned? They are now purchasing less. I think that's what I got. You cannot turn away business. They have to purchase, unless it's an agreement that you cannot serve any other person. Is that the clause in there? You can still get in their business, but if the agreement was for this price, you have to purchase a certain number of products, then we've got to stick to that unless it is changing. Or you could have different bands that if you're purchasing this amount of products, then that will be the price. If you're purchasing in this bracket, then that will be the price. Definitely, as you look for more customers, you get them, you retain. Do not be caught up in a partnership that is not working for you. You have to be making money in this partnership, but don't turn away a paying customer because they've purchased little. Just ensure that your margin is there, because if they're purchasing less than they agreed to, that means you may be eating into your profit because you could have negotiated based on the bulk of their purchase. So you go back to the drawing table and say, I notice over time you've been reducing your purchases, and yet we agreed that for this amount, you'll purchase this. So how about we do this for you, especially if you know you're competitive on the market and you're giving a good service, you can have that conversation. Do not ever shy away if you're speaking the truth, if you're transparent. The people you're dealing with, they know the truth. Some are simply bullies and want to take advantage. Just bring it transparently to the table and explain to them. Same goes to the price increase. Depends on how you increase the price. Is it competitive in the market? Customers understand when prices have to go up. And at times we have to explain to them, not simply increasing prices and there's nothing to go along with that. You can find ways of making this better. You can increase price, and for the first season, you're doing some offers because of the price increase to cushion the shock of the price increase. But if you explain it, they know. When fuel prices increased in the country, it wasn't one gas station that increased prices. It kind of ran across. And even though we didn't fully understand why, we knew something, but then that you'll notice that some fuel stations went ahead to explain they're doing some things extra for you to cushion that. So you at times have no option but to increase the price or reduce the quantity. Say we notice prices of Irish potatoes have gone up, so the size of our packs has reduced, but we've maintained the price. You find ways of explaining, especially to your repeat customers, because if they understand it, they'll be able to explain to the rest. And your staff as well have to understand why, because they're the ones interfacing with your customers. It just has to be fair and competitive. I think that was it, Ronald.
Great. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much, Linda.
Someone asked something about tax. I may not be a tax expert, so maybe, Ronald, there's a tax man in the house.
Well, I'll see. Let me see. I think I had missed that question. Yeah, and we have had a couple of sessions specifically on tax. They are equally intimate sessions. How do I handle customers who do remit 6%? Who do, or I think Robert, if a customer actually pays you less withholding tax, I think that's what you speak to when you talk about the 6%. It's actually within the law that they are supposed to do that. What is important to you is to get a withholding tax certificate so that you can be able to use it as you file your taxes at the end of the period. So in a way, they have paid some tax on your behalf in advance. And when they pay you, for example, if you're a consultant and you are paid less by 6%, that 6% is your tax paid, only that you are supposed to put it as in your filing at the end of the period. So if you are supposed to pay tax of 1 million and then you remitted 300,000 as the 6% earlier, that means you'll actually pay 700 because the 300 has already been paid directly by your customer. I think that's what Robert speaks to. We have just a few minutes, friends. I'm going to just ask for 5 more minutes. I see Maureen putting up her hand. Maureen, you'll be the last, and then we will wrap up the day. Maureen, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. I work in the bread industry, which is very sensitive when it comes to price. Like you heard when people was complaining about it, we were told to get an alternative, eat cassava. But now when it comes to the players, the bakeries, you can agree to reduce the prices, but there was so much undercutting. You agree as a team, but when it comes on the ground, everyone is playing their own game, undercutting so that they can take over the market. How can one handle this when it comes to retention of customers who also would rather just go and buy the cheaper bread, regardless of the fact that everybody's experiencing inflation?
Lovely, lovely. Thank you, Maureen. That's a brilliant question. Linda, you can quickly respond to that.
I'll answer that first as a consumer, because the client starts from consumption. If your bread is very good, a customer will pay an extra 500 shillings for good bread, over and above buying bread that's cheaper by 1,000 shillings and it doesn't taste good and it is not fresh. If your bread is good, they will buy it. Have you considered delivering to your clients? I have someone who delivers bread at my gate, so I don't have to make a stop to buy bread. I just don't like it personally, because we all have busy days. You want to just drive and get to your home. So once I told them, why don't you start delivering? I can't find you. I don't want to go to a supermarket and have to choose between X, Y, Z. And because there are so many options, it is cheaper for her, maybe in the long run, to pay this one delivery guy or border guy turned courier guy, bread deliverer, to bring bread to my gate every day or every other day. And then later she told me, no, I have people who I deliver daily. I deliver every 2 days, every Friday. If she's bringing it to my house, I'm not going to find any other bread because of the convenience, that time, then I can pay on a weekly or by monthly, whatever. So one, if your quality is good, some people will not compromise on quality. So you will have your customers, repeat customers. You can also tell your customers where exactly they can find your bread. At times it is hard to find good bread. And so people just stick with whatever is there, it's affordable. But if your bread is good and you have people who rave about it, they'll tell you, no, I'd rather pay an extra 500. I love that whole idea of delivery. If you really find out companies that are doing well, not only bread, they've made it so convenient for the customer to access their products, such that a slight increase in price does not matter. The convenience, the quality, it matters, and the payment options. Get payment options that are favorable for the customer. Not pay but add withdraw charges. You know, it now becomes even more expensive. There are formal ways of people paying where you don't incur, or the customer doesn't incur extra cost across. So if all that is in place, that can be your value proposition. I will give you good fresh bread delivered to a shop near you. Maybe in a certain area, you have that one shop that will stock your bread come rain or shine, or will deliver it on X, Y, and Z. And you can pay in this on these options. I don't know, just find something. But if it is good, do not worry about price. Over time, your repeat customers will grow and refer customers to you. Think long-term, not short-term. Although it may affect you a bit, but long-term, you'll be good.
All right, super. Thanks a lot. Our time is running fast. However, someone just has a quick one. I want to finish. How do I offer if my client, this is from James Omondi, how do I offer if my client is a government agency whom I supply goods, and whatever excellent service I offer, the law prohibits from supplying the same client? I don't know whether you have got the question.
How do I offer if my client is a government agency? And then I think you can only offer them once.
Yeah.
And the law prohibits. Can you bypass the law professionally? Can you get an exemption?
Oh, yes.
These laws are made by human beings and exemptions are made by the same human beings. There are always ways of bypassing that formally, legally, you know, so you can try that. Ask the government people, they know, and they can give you, normally there are waivers to some of those things if you do it professionally and you don't want to be caught on the wrong side of the law. If you want to do a formal business, just get whatever waiver you need formally and you can do it. For example, I know in procurement across, you have to get 3 suppliers before you choose one. But there are instances where you can get only 1 supplier. There are reasons why maybe you didn't source for 3. So find ways with the correct government people on how you can waive that for yourself.
Right. Thanks a lot, Linda. Friends, thank you so much for being here. I'll just take another couple of minutes to bring this to a close and have just 2 or 3 questions, Linda, as she finishes. We are having the Global Entrepreneurship Week next week on Tuesday, the 15th. At UMA. Please do come. You are all welcome. It's one of our few physical sessions that we know there are not many nowadays, but we're going to have an amazing day to engage in such topics and more. So please do take off time. It's for the entire day on Tuesday, 15th. We will be at UMA. If you want to have a business health check done, please do express. I think I'm going to ask Derek to post the link so that you can be able to register. But we have had a really lovely day today, Linda. Thank you so much for sharing from the heart. We can see the wealth of experience you have from the way you have dissected this topic. I'll finish with 2 quick questions, and these questions are personal questions. The first question is, what is the best thing you have done with money?
Ronald, is that mine?
Yes, that's your question. And
okay.
We're talking about the best thing you have done with money.
Best thing I've done with money is travel.
You have traveled.
to-
Lovely.
Yes, I've traveled to different countries and been exposed to a number of things. So yeah.
Great. And what is the worst thing you have done with money?
Oh, what have I done with money? Depends. Buy many plants and pots. I think that's one of my biggest weaknesses, but it brings me joy.
But you're
times.
happy at least with all the plants.
I am happy. There's no value add in terms of a return on investment other than my happiness in being in a beautiful space full of plants and flowers. So I don't know if it's a good trade-off.
Wow, at least you're happy. Great.
Yes.
Thanks a lot for today. Team, thanks for joining. We are very excited that you have taken off time to come. Linda, we have totally enjoyed the session. Those who haven't attended, a recording will be shared on the mailing list, and also Linda's presentation will be shared. We are very grateful. Thank you so much, Linda, and be blessed as the rest of us as we go about to work. We'll be back next week. Next week is Global Entrepreneurship Week. There's so many activities out there. We'll be sharing them on your mailing lists. Attend one, attend two, and be able to grow our businesses. Have a blessed week and all the best.
Cheers. Thank you.